So that prison that you're living in, because it is a prison, you know, the definition of prison is a state of confinement. That's the definition of the word prison, a state of confinement. Well, if you're living the typical human life, you're living in a state of confinement. You're confined to live a life that's given by the thoughts that you're having and given by time and space and given by your conditioning. You're confined to living that life. And most people who are confined to living that life have no idea that there is another possibility. They have no idea that there's another possibility. They're absolutely convinced that that's reality, and I am a physical body, I am a personality, and because I'm absolutely convinced that that's the case, I'm not entertaining any other possibilities. I'm busy working with that to get that to deliver. And that's the way it is for most human beings. And most human beings will live out their entire life and die and never have experienced the truth, never have experienced who they really are, never have experienced what's actually real, and never have experienced the possibility of being happy, satisfied, peaceful, and enjoying life. And the way to that peace and happiness and satisfaction is very interesting, because in the ordinary course of events, people believe that the way to get happy is to get what you want. The way to get happy is to deal with the circumstances in a way to get them to be the right circumstances, and then you'll be happy. So happiness is something that you're trying to get to. It doesn't already exist. The pursuit of it, the pursuit of happiness. So everybody's doing the same thing. They wake up in the morning and their activities are activities that are intended to provide satisfaction, fulfillment, happiness, and peace. Isn't that the case? Everybody wakes up in the morning, that's what they're doing. You know, when they're going to work, why are they going to work? To get money. Why do they want money? To buy things. Why do they want to buy things? So they can get the things that they want and they can be happy, right? But nobody slows down and pays close enough attention to realize that that process is not working. Every time you get what you want, it never lasts. It's really simple to see. No matter what it is that you think that if you get it, you'll be happy, look at your life and you'll see. There are things that you thought that if you got those things, you'd be happy. Aren't there? Hasn't there been things that you thought that if you got those things, you'd be happy? And didn't you get some of those things? And when you got some of those things, something changed as soon as you got it. What changed is now you don't want it anymore because you have it. That's what changed. Now you're not desiring it anymore. You have no desire for it because now you have it. But what happens is after you have it, there may be some satisfaction, some happiness that happens. And if you pay attention, you'll see whatever it was that you got that you thought would make you happy, if you pay attention, you'll see that once you have it, something shifts. Now I have it, so I don't want it. I have it, so I don't want it. And now that I have it and I don't want it, I'm depending on it to produce happiness for me. That's why I was chasing it in the first place, right? But now that I have it and I don't want it, right, and I'm experiencing having it, I start noticing that my having it is not producing the happiness that I thought it would. It did produce a little happiness in the beginning, but that faded away, and now I'm not happy again, so now I'm looking again to see what's next, you know? What's the next thing? That didn't work. I need to get something else. And so you're now in the rat race. You're now on the gerbil wheel, right? Because no matter what it is, now you're playing an endless game. Now you're in the casino of life. And even though you win sometimes, the house will win in the end. You can't win this game. No matter what you think you need to get that will make you happy, it will never work. It will always turn into something else, and it doesn't work to make you happy, and then you're back searching again. So this pursuit of happiness is an endless pursuit. And it's a pursuit that you can never really win. You just get a bite of it, and then it turns sour, and you're back searching again, right? So in meditation, there's the possibility of realizing that when I experience my true nature, which is awareness itself, not the personality. The personality is the dissatisfied version of you. Personality is a dissatisfied version of you, the seeker, you know, the one who is playing the game of life, trying to win the game of life, you know, feeling frustrated, feeling anxious, feeling disappointed, feeling angry, feeling depressed. Depression is hopelessness, right? Depression is hopelessness. And depression is actually a realistic experience, right? Because it is hopeless. Depression is actually a realistic experience. Somebody who's depressed right? That depression might be an experience that will motivate you to seek the truth. You know, depression may be an experience that will motivate you to seek the truth, because your depression is realistic. Your depression is because you feel hopeless, and it is hopeless, because you can never win. You can never win. It is hopeless. So in meditation, the possibility exists for you to recognize that this awareness that's there when I move my attention away from thinking, this awareness that's there is a constant. It is always available. Awareness is always here. It's never not here. And it is the one thing that is not changing. It's the one thing that is absolutely stable. And then the best thing of all is this awareness that is available for me to notice when I practice meditation is me. It's the truth. It's what I actually am. How do I know this? The truth means that whatever is true is something that stays the same. It's always true. It's never not true. It's always the same, right? That's what the truth is, right? And the awareness meets the definition of the truth. It's always the same. It never changes. It's always there. It's never not there. It's true. It's real. And not only is it true and it's real, but it actually works. If you start to experience the truth, if you start to experience who you are, you start to realize that that awareness doesn't suffer. That awareness doesn't need anything. That awareness doesn't want anything. So there's a possibility now of getting out of the rat race. It's a possibility of discovering that suffering happens when I believe that I'm something that I'm not. And when I believe that I'm something that I'm not, I'm back in confinement. I'm back in prison. I'm back in a limited reality given by my thinking and my feeling and my beliefs and my conditioning. And that is a limited reality, right? That's a prison. That's confinement. And so now I start to understand, oh, the possibility to have what I always wanted is always available. All I have to do is stop believing in the lie. Stop believing that I'm something that I'm not. Now, that's not as easy as it might seem, because the belief that you're something that you're not is a program that's running in your brain. Right? It's called conditioning. It's a program that's running in your brain, and it's running by itself. It's running by itself. It's producing thoughts, and it's producing thoughts that come from the conditioning that you are a body and you are a person, right? And that's what I mean when I say that you're not who you think you are, because the thoughts that are being produced are telling you what you are. They're telling you what you are. They're telling you what other people are, and they're telling you what's real. And that plays all the time. That's your conditioning, right? That got put together when you were a child, right? And it's playing all the time, right? And when you're asleep, you think that the thinking is happening because you're causing it. You think that I'm thinking those thoughts when you're asleep. When you wake up, you realize these thoughts are happening by themselves. I'm not causing them. I'm not causing them. The evidence is clear I'm not causing them, because if I try and stop them, I can't. If I try and make them say what I want them to say, I can't. They say what they want to say about me, about life, and about other people. And they keep doing it whether I want them to do it or not. They keep me up at night, right? They torture me with anxious thoughts. They torture me with fearful thoughts. They keep me frustrated and angry and feeling hopeless. So when you wake up, you start to realize that this relationship with thinking will change if you discover your true nature, because when you discover your true nature, you realize that you're not causing the thoughts. Thoughts are happening by themselves. And that thought process is a thought process that is a process that's fear-driven. It's got to be fear-driven, because if it's true that I am a physical body and I'm a person and I am a personality, then I'm under threat all the time. I'm under threat all the time. And something can happen to kill my body, right? I'm under threat all the time. Something can happen to upset me and make me feel invalid as a personality, right? So I'm under threat. It's a stressful situation. It's a stressful experience to live life that way. And now, through meditation, if I learn through the teachings and through these practices, there's an alternative to that. And if I practice meditation every day, I'm learning to be able to direct my attention away from the thinking activity that's causing the suffering. And when I have success at that, which I will have if I persist, I will have if I persist. You know why I will have? You know why you'll have success if you persist? You know why you'll have success in realizing your true nature if you persist? Yeah, the answer to that is because you're already that. Right? So you're not going to become it, you're already that, and therefore you can't fail at becoming it because you're already that. All you have to do is persist in the process of moving your attention away from the thinking activity and experiencing your true nature. And to the extent that you're doing that more and more consistently, you also discover that when I'm aware of my true nature and I'm experiencing myself as that, I'm happy. What's the source of happiness? The end of suffering. That's a different thing. You know, when you think you're something that you're not, the source of happiness is getting what you want, isn't it? But when you discover what you really are, you discover who you really are is already happy. So what is happiness? Happiness is no longer getting what you want. Happiness is experiencing who you really are, and experiencing that when you're experiencing who you really are, you're not suffering, and therefore you're happy. So happiness is an already condition. Happiness is an already experience that's available at all times. And if you're really serious about wanting to be happy, then you start to practice what will allow you to discover the possibility for it, and then practice staying awake. Staying awake. What does staying awake mean? Staying awake means practice being aware of yourself as awareness. Practicing being aware of yourself as awareness, to know yourself as awareness. And then when you know yourself as awareness, you're not dreaming anymore, because you can see that the personality is a dream. But you're the awareness. The awareness is awake. It's not dreaming. It's seeing things as they really are. The awareness sees things as they really are. It sees life as life really is. Right? It sees life as an opportunity to experience the adventure of being in the world. And the adventure of being in the world is a gratifying experience. It's an exciting experience. It's an experience where you're experiencing being happy and satisfied as you live the life of the person, but you know you're not the person. You're being the awareness that's awake. You see the difference? When you're sleeping at night, you're dreaming, so you're asleep dreaming, and then when you wake up in the morning, you're conscious, but you're still dreaming because you think you're something that you're not, the same way you did in the dream when you were asleep. So when you wake up, you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not who I thought I was, and now I can see who I thought I was operating, but I'm not that, and because I'm not that, I don't suffer the suffering that goes on when I thought I was that. Right? So I'm a psychologist, and the reason that I teach meditation and the reason that I'm so passionate about meditation is because it is the real answer to human suffering. It's the real answer. It works. You can actually stop suffering and be happy, and your happiness is not a function of circumstances. Your well-being is not a function of circumstances. So instead of going to the party to have a good time, you bring the good time to the party. Instead of trying to be happy, you're happy and then you're enjoying life, right? Instead of suffering because you think things should be different than they are, when you're awake, you realize that's not true. Things shouldn't be different from the way they are. They should be the way that they are. You see, that's the source of the suffering for the personality. The personality lives life with this voice in your head that's constantly narrating what's happening, constantly evaluating what's happening, and telling you what it should be, that it's not. And so you keep living this experience of disappointment. You keep living this experience of frustration, right? Because you keep having this experience that reality is wrong. Reality is wrong. It should be different. My parents should be ideal, loving human beings. They shouldn't have been the people that they were with me. That was wrong. You know, my spouse, you know, when I married her, I thought it was a good investment, you know, because I was going to get what I wanted. I was going to have somebody that I thought was attractive, somebody that I enjoyed being with, you know, all of it, right? And then that went to hell just like everything else. That person started behaving in ways that was unpredictable, that I didn't like. So then the voice in my head starts talking to me about it and telling me, oh, what were you thinking? You made a big mistake here, right? So my relationship becomes like everything else, right? It's not satisfying anymore, right? There's conflict, right? And I'm angry and I'm frustrated, and this person's got to change. They have to stop annoying me. They have to stop being ways that I don't like. See, the thing you have to understand is that's inevitable. No matter who you marry, no matter what your relationships are with your parents, with your children, with your spouse, with your girlfriends and boyfriends, it's all the same mess. It's all the same mess. If you listen to people talk about the drama of their life, right? It's a story in which they're consistently being disappointed, consistently trying to make it work, right? Consistently trying to recover from the last thing that upset them. So meditation is an opportunity to discover what works. It's an opportunity to wake up and discover what's true. It's an opportunity for you to realize that you can be happy regardless of your circumstances. It doesn't matter who your family was. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter what your body looks like. None of that stuff matters. None of the circumstances matter, because you're already happy if you start to pay attention to where the happiness actually is. The happiness is actually in the experience of the truth. And the experience of the truth is that you are the awareness. You are not the personality. You know, the ancient teachings argue this. The ancient teachings discuss this in a way that makes it impossible to deny. You know, so you have to get to a place with these teachings and these practices where you stop looking at it like something that you're trying to figure out, or you stop looking at it like something that you're trying to get all your answers answered about, right? Because in order for you to realize this possibility, you have to have faith in the truth. And the faith in the truth means that you have an absolute acceptance that the truth is true. You can hear about it, right? But if you hear about it and you don't practice and you don't deepen your understanding of it, and you stay in this relationship with it, you know, like it's cool and it's interesting, but I don't know, you know, it doesn't seem to fit my ordinary experience. Of course it's not going to fit your ordinary experience because you're sleeping. So you really have to get to a point where you study the teachings thoroughly enough and you listen to the teaching thoroughly enough that you come to an absolute acceptance that the truth is true. And once you come to an absolute acceptance that the truth is true, then you can begin to practice staying out of trouble. You can begin to practice staying out of believing that you're the thinker of the thoughts and you're the physical body and you're the personality. You practice paying attention in such a way where you start coming out of that dream. And you start waking up and experiencing things as they really are, and then you're happy. Then you're just happy. Then you're just peaceful. It's called the natural state. It's the natural state. It's already that way. The experience of yourself as awareness is an experience. It's not a thought. But the idea that your personality is a thought, not an experience. It can't be an experience because it's not true. Right? And everything that's happening, we see when you wake up, you discover the ability to experience everything that's happening as having its own life, right? It's all having its own life. You're there to witness it. That's all. You're just there to witness this. You don't need anything from it because you're happy. You don't want any. Your awareness doesn't need anything. It doesn't want anything. It's not coming from anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's just here. It's just here. But it's satisfied. It's always satisfied and it's always just here. And then life is happening. That's all. Life is happening. No, it's not a threat anymore, right? It's like Helen Keller said, you know, life is either a great adventure or nothing.